It's been a while, but we're back in the lab again with DJ Khatep and the Roomba of Doom. The Doomba and his pet Necrosphinx of Usek, ready to chop up some invaders and feed them to the gods of the underworld. We're on a custom map for this one, the Great Pyramid of the Forgotten King by Khazad, and we've got some serious Raiders of the Lost Ark and Mummy vibes going on, because we're inside the tomb itself, and constructs that have lain silent since the reign of a million years began stir in their crypts. And for good reason. Those damn Norscans won't get off our lawn. They've made a name for themselves constantly trying to steal our gold and our glory, acting like the barbarian hooligans that they are, and they need to be punished. But it won't be easy, because even though we have a great defensible position here, there are almost 10,000 troops on the way, headed up by mammoths and giants and all kinds of nasty surprises, and killing all that is gonna be quite the challenge. And it's not like this is their first rodeo. Norscans have been plundering the tombs of ancient Nahakara for a long time now. Volgar the Butcher and Kagul Bloodfist went so far as to fight Setra himself on the plains outside Khemri about 2 millennia ago, and you could even argue they won. Setra got lit on fire by a rune-forged axe, and his famous crown was stolen and taken all the way back to the north, but not before he snacked on their champions as an angry swarm of beetles. Small price to pay for glory in the eyes of the dark gods, though, and to fill your longships with the riches of a forgotten land, and many of the marauders who survived that day went on to become great champions in their own right. So basically, Norscans know how to bust into the crypts of the Tomb Kings and bring the ruckus, but if there's one thing Ushabti Greatbows and Casket of Souls are good at, it's raining death on endless hordes of naked barbarian dudes. They're just massively outnumbered. So they've got their work cut out for them. That's why we call it a survival battle. There's only one thing we have to do. Survive! Thank you for your service, Sergeant Lincoln Osiris. Your work as a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude was truly inspirational. I love that movie. Tropic Thunder, absolutely fantastic. If you've never seen it, go watch it. It will blow your mind, or at least it blew mine. But Berserkers and a bunch of Norscan Marauders are coming our way, and the Casket of Souls is gonna let it rip. Now again, this is in the laboratory, which means we'll be able to field many more troops than we'd be able to field in a traditional Total War battle, and our computer will respond a lot better too, because it's using different technology to help run everything, which is great. So we're not gonna be getting the ridiculous lag spikes that you might get in a normal 10,000 man battle, 20,000 man battle. But with that said though, my computer, as good as it may be, is not God. It is not omniscient or all-powerful. We will not be running this battle at a smooth 60 FPS. But it won't be a lag fest either. And visually, I think it's gonna be pretty glorious, because you don't get maps like this in vanilla, man. You don't get to set up D-Day pillboxes and paint Nahakara Beach red with the blood of the invaders like this in vanilla either. So it's gonna be a good time. And our Necro Serpents, our Necro Sphinxes, and all those Ushabti Greatbows are going to do a great job of thinning those numbers before they ever make it into melee. But the Mammoths are a different issue. Now, I do have the Sphinx of Usek, who has that fantastic bonus first large, that amazing weapon skill, that amazing armor-piercing damage. I think can do some work against Norscan War Mammoths, but they have a lot of them. They've got, I don't know if you've seen it yet, they have a lot of monsters, a lot of Norscan giants, and a lot of numbers. And when you're defending Egyptian Helm's Deep, I highly recommend not blowing your own units up with artillery. A bunch of our Tomb Guard with halberds just got blown off the edge there, and the Marauders are now closing in. So what you can see here is that raised platform, they can actually attack up the front. It's kind of like walls in Total War Warhammer 2. It's a great defensive position, but units can still go up it, and they kind of just teleport, which again, looks visually dumb. I've always hated the wall teleporting in Total War. It just looks bad, but I kind of, like, I get why they did it. I get why it makes the AI better at siege battles, because, look, there's a lot of rose-tinted glasses when you're talking about Medieval 2 and earlier siege battles in the historical games, where they would just bug out as soon as they lost all their siege equipment, or they didn't build enough, or they would only send like 2 units at a time to go up the wall. So I get why it was done, but visually it looks bad. They're going to be able to attack from the front though, so that defensive position in the center, they can just waltz right on up there and start attacking our Tomb Guard with halberds. But our Hierotitans and our Necro Serpents, the Necropolis Knights with halberds, will hold down the anchors on the flanks for now, basically prevent all these Marauders and all these numbers from pushing through and getting at the softer and juicier and squishier stuff in the center of the map. That's where our Ushabti Greatbows are. That's where Khatep is, and as he unleashes the heat vision of Krypton, poor little tiny boys at his feet will be feeling that. One of the best animations CA have ever done, Can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, homie. And with unit sizes, I think, jacked up by like 2 or 3 times, I think that Hierotitan and the Mammoths, too, all have like 20,000 HP. So it's going to take forever and a day for those to ever get taken down. And they'll be able to hold the flanks for a very long time. Unfortunately, Necro Serpents and the Necropolis Knights with Halberds, they are about as squishy as they are in vanilla, too. They're one of those units that heavily relies on terror, and as the Chosen of the Gods who shot the Great Bow start firing in from the flank. The problem is that we've jacked up the leadership here so that there aren't mass routes, because that happens a lot when you're talking about these huge blobs that are kind of conglomerated around these choke points. You toss a few vortexes down, you throw in a terror unit, and then they just terror route instantly. So you gotta jack up the leadership a bit, and that means that these Marauders and my own troops, the Tomb Guard and stuff, will hold for a lot longer and we'll get a longer battle overall, which should make for better cinematics in general. But as we get a sandstorm down in the center of the blob, that'll be Khatep's first vortex of the game. It's one of those things where it will make some of these terror units less effective than they would normally be. I mean, they're still going to be able to kill a lot of stuff, but they can't actually just fear and terror whatever they run into. And cycle charging when there are 5, oh my god, dude, it's like stepping on an ant colony. The Hierotitan must be having a field day right now, just enjoying his time out here, a leisurely stroll. Just another Sunday in the Warhammer world, another Norscan invasion, whatever, no big deal. Just let me laser it into the ground and turn it into paste and red mulch. There we go. Yeah, it's literally just another Sunday in Nakara. The Mammoths and all these invasion forces are just going to start pushing up real hard, and they're already starting to get through. And the Mammoth has already broken through some of the skeletons and got into the second ranks of the Tomb Guard. Kepler Guard waiting for him. It has Rampage now, and the Sphinx of Usek with those huge bladed sides, ready to teach him some manners. Give that Pachyderm the good what for, the 1-2 combo. But the damage numbers haven't been changed at all, remember that. So we're talking about 2 or 3 times bigger HP pool for every single unit, including the single entities, but they're all still hitting for the same weapon strength as vanilla. So that Necro Sphinx, I mean, amazing weapon strength, 550 and armor piercing and bonus for large, all that, but it's still got to chunk through 20,000 HP on the Mammoth. So that's going to take a really long time. And it's the same thing for those who shop to you, or getting in there now, carving stuff up. They're going to be able to kill individual models pretty easy, but you're talking about a unit that now has like 300, 350, 400 models. Killing all that is going to take a while. But the Hierotitan in there, still punching things around, and the Marauders and Tomb Guard Skeleton Warriors coming in. And we got some more reinforcements as well, funneling in from the flank. This is a gigantic map. I mean, that's a huge regiment, and they're not even filling up this entire hallway. Mammoth, not even close to filling up the whole hallway. But as they charge in, I think those Skeleton Warriors are gonna have a pretty bad time. There aren't any Skin Wolves here. I have heard a pretty hilarious suggestion that Skin Wolves and all the dog units in the game should get a bonus versus Undead or any skeleton units because they love eating bones. I think that'd be kind of cool, actually. I wouldn't mind seeing that, a bonus for Skelly Boys. But that'd be kind of funny. Khatep on the Roomba of Doom, ready to unleash some laser explosions into the center of the Marauder line, and they are really blobbed up on this side right now. Necrosphinx can kind of just make sure that they all kind of conglomerate around him, and then just nuke the crap out of it. Just orbital drop, shock bombardment from space, drop down the hammer, and you're gonna see a lot of jibbing when you're talking about a blob that big. And the cool thing about Khatep, not only is he great against blobs with the normal, obviously the Casket of Souls itself, I think he's the only artillery-mounted lord in the game that I can think of. Obviously Stegodons and Ancient Stegodons, that kind of thing, they have, technically call those blowpipes artillery, I guess. But he's got these Skull Storms and the Sandstorms. He's got a Bound Vortex as well, he has 3 uses of those. So, I mean, I'd like to see that Vortex stay on target a little bit better. I'd rather not see it veer off the edge of the bridge and plummet into nothingness. But still, I mean, that's going to do a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. He's going to drop another one here, too. This will be his normal Lore of Nakara spell right in the center. And it's just going to be a Crimson Storm, man. It's going to be a storm of blood and bodies and limbs flying everywhere. And I'd love to see a few of them get tossed off the edge. That might be pretty fun. But the Necrosphinx still going at it. And this whole thing honestly reminds me of like the original Tomb Raider movie with Angelina Jolie. That was a while ago. I think that was maybe early 2000s. I want to say her and Daniel Craig went to Cambodia or some other country in Eastern Asia. And they take this mystical clock from a temple as Jorah Mormont tries to kill her. And then all these Buddhist statues come to life and start murdering people. So I guess they're not that Buddhist. It might have been Hindu. I'm not sure what their inspiration was, but that scene was brutal, and that movie was awesome. I don't care what anyone says. Great action, solid villain. Whole thing didn't take itself very seriously. It was just a fun movie. Unfortunately, the new Tomb Raider movie with Alicia Vikander was hot trash. She's talented. I think she was fine, but the movie was bad. Like, Walton Goggins was completely wasted. Dominic West was completely wasted. Bad script, bad story, bad twist. Took itself kind of seriously, which was dumb in and of itself. Just bad. Made me sad. But it makes me wonder why video games are so hard to transfer to the big screen. Like, there's so many games with fantastic stories, but 90% of the time any studio tries to take the plunge, it goes belly up with any of these video game movies. I'm not even sure I want them to try Warhammer Fantasy or 40K in cinema. Like, I'd honestly rather Hollywood not even try than completely butcher either setting. But it's all right there, though, is the frustrating thing. Like, Beginnings of the Horus Heresy could make for an amazing trilogy of movies. Expensive as hell to make, would need a ton of CGI, but you've got horror, you've got suspense, really well fleshed out characters, and all the eye candy and lore you could ever ask for. And same thing with this. Give me a movie about the King of Kings. Give me Settra the Imperishable, bringing the light of civilization to the barbarians of Norsca. It's never gonna happen, and that might be a good thing, but if it did, and it was actually done justice, could be the best stuff ever. But yeah, back to the battle. Hierotitan absolutely stomping on stuff right now. Don't tell me you guys don't get Tomb Raider or Indiana Jones vibes from this map. That was the first thing I thought of when I saw the inside of this map. It is a beautiful one by Kazan, but it's starting to get a little bit hairy for the Tomb Kings right now. They're getting pushed further and further back into that central plaza. Their constructs are still standing strong, but their Chosen the Gods Ushabti have had to have been committed by this point. The Hierotitan is out there on an island by itself. The Necropolis Knights with halberds died a long time ago, crumbled into the sands. For some reason, the inside of this pyramid is still very sandy right now. I guess there are some crevasses, some little holes in the walls where it's all blown through from the sands of Nahakara outside. But yeah, the Hierotitan, even though he's doing a great job of just tanking all this damage and still unleashing those laser eyes and huge breath attacks and huge punches into the middle of the army, he is completely isolated and by himself, and he can't carry the day when he's completely surrounded by a bunch of Marauder spearmen. Although punches like that are certainly going to help. They need something to turn the fight, and it's down to DJ Khatep and his huge vortex spell, as the Mammoth died to the Necrosphinx of Usex, though. That's important. One more monster from the Immaterium, one more Norscan monstrosity down and dead, and water shots into that gigantic blob. I don't even know how many dudes are in that right now. Probably like 3,000, 4,000. You can see their health bars are super depleted at this point, but the Necrosphinx is to come back because some of the Ushabti are getting shut down by the Marauder Chieftain himself on his own War Mammoth, and the Sphinx of Usek is tailor-made for that kind of engagement right there. I mean, that's what he's born and bred to do, is munch on big monsters. Remember, in the tabletop, they were literally one of the few units in the game that had heroic killing blow, and the entire purpose of that was literally you get a chance to one-shot any big monster like a giant or a dragon. Literally just walk up to it, you roll the right stuff, and you chop its head off in one single blow. No dismemberment among monsters in Total War Warhammer, unfortunately. I kind of wish you could do something like chop a dragon's head off or a mammoth's head off. There are some animations, but there's no actual wing cutting off or heads cutting off or anything real visceral that would fit like with the rest of the Warhammer Blood Pack. But with that said, though, I mean, that bonus for Slarge, that extra chance to hit, it's super useful when you're talking about trying to bring down a mammoth. And that Tomb King's defense is starting to look a little bit fragile. Not much between Khatep and the rest of his army and all these Norscan invaders, but the Marauder Chieftain, super low at this point, and a beautiful shot from the Casket of Souls. The first one on top of that first pillbox that we had at the beginning has long since been silenced, but Khatep is still around and still on it. But the Mammoth coming in close now, trying to get an attack off, and he's going to take a volley to the face from close range. Going to do like 700 damage. And he's 1-2 hits from death now. Necrosphinx coming back to protect his lord, and he will get an attack off. 1 and 2, and with that last swing, it will bring down the Chieftain, and the Mammoth is dead. And that's big. Leadership is much higher for Norscans than normal right now, so I don't know if it's going to cause any kind of chain rout. But either way, killing the Marauder Chieftain and imbuing that morale penalty is still going to be important. and another vortex on the never-ending swarm of Norscans, and that will be the best one in the game. Glorious, just absolutely glorious, and staying relatively on target too, carving a path of red ruin through the invaders, and that is what I'm talking about. But the Hierotitans need to form Voltron at this point, need to activate those interlocks, connect those dinotherms. Mega thrusters are go Voltron force, form a bastion around their Lord DJ Khatep, keep him alive, keep his casket of souls online, and slaughtering those naked barbarian dudes. But look at how many of them have met their maker, met their gods, been sent to the Chaos Realms on their way in. I mean, it's just littered with, like, we're losing a lot of FPS just moving around the camera right now with how many are dead on the field. Yeah, we've killed a lot. There are a lot of dead Norscans right now, and it's been a fun time. But the Necrosphinx is making his stand here, the bounce ball, pretty heavily in the invaders' favor, and the Helm's Deep has kind of been overrun at this point. There are many more to kill, and the Hierotitan is not going to be able to get back to his lord. He's just going to stay here where he's been the whole time, slaughtering stuff, sending him flying, forming Voltron, being a badass Gundam like he is. Tall geese just in the center of the enemy formation, just smacking stuff around. But yeah, it's not going to be enough from him. I think he is crumbling right now, and those Marauder Spearmen are just slowly chunking away, and he will be brought down, and probably take a few more before it's all said and done, especially when he falls. I love that. I think that's one of the coolest little things that no one really thinks about. No, Jesus, those guys went flying off the map. Glorious. That was awesome. It was really sweet. But yeah, one of the kind of underrated aspects of when these huge constructs die, and giants and stuff, when they fall over, they will actually kill models too. It usually only counts as one attack, so even though you'll see their body land on top of like 15 dudes, they're not all gonna die. Only kill like 2 or 3, but it will actually jib people like the Necrosphinx is doing now every time he swings those scything blades, just cutting a path. But the giants are free, and the Marauder champions are free. The entire defense has been overrun, and Khatep is in a bad spot. I mean, he's on his Doomba, and he kills stuff. He can kill stuff in melee for sure. And I can imagine how scary fighting him in melee would be. When you're that close to a fantastic caster, and he's got that kind of control of the wind's magic, and he's got a bunch of bones just kind of spinning around, scything people's legs off. I mean, you don't want to really get near that. Curse is going off now, but in truth, he's not really a melee combatant. He will try to get one final vortex off as the curse roars down, and he sends more of those guys flying 30 feet behind him. But he goes down, explodes, and will join Usirian in the underworld, in the realm of the dead. And one more vortex will jib a few more Marauders, but they're still pushing through, and the plaza has been completely overrun, and only one creature left in the way of the invaders. It is the Sphinx of Usek itself. Does not surprise me that it's the last one remaining. So tanky, such a beast, incredible melee stats, but will not be able to carry the day, and will begin crumbling as the leadership and the balance bar goes all the way in the other direction. And we'll see its last stand. Fast forward it here. Norscans will take it. And I must say that I overestimated or underestimated how important leadership and terror is for the Tomb Kings there. Like, it's hard to balance these, right? Like, you want to put yourself in a survival situation where you have a chance of winning, but where it's really hard to win, and that can make for some really epic moments. We probably gave them a little bit too much, but I think the biggest problem was I raised their leadership too high in the lab, and it meant that they couldn't terror route. And you don't want them to terror route easily. Like, vanilla would just mean that you'd have vanilla morale, and then the battle would be over in 5 minutes and be a mass rout, and it wouldn't be that exciting to watch. So you want to fiddle with that a bit, right? But I think it went a little bit too far in the other direction, gave them too much leadership there, that made them kind of like unbreakable almost, and that was too much, because then I couldn't cause any kind of chain route, even after I killed the Lord, even after I'd killed a bunch of them. There's a balance to be struck there for sure. It's hard to get the balancing right in this kind of thing, because there are so many different sliders to toy around with, but DJ Khatep, with over 1,000 kills, a lot of the stuff, I mean, not truly incredible in terms of the killing. There was like some with 350. We saw a couple Hierotitans like around 100, so that's not actually that impressive, but they're just so tanky. But from a visual perspective, and from just looking at the map and holding back and getting a defensive formation that you never really get to play in the regular game, Laboratory has a lot to offer there, and it was a blast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly did. I'll see you all in the next one. Indie Pride, signing out for now.